Mercedes furious after Dutch GP as new evidence found. So we're going to be going through that and 3 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Mercedes news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel by hitting that red button down below. The first story is Hamilton rues impact of poor qualifying in Zandvoort as Russell mystified by Mercedes' lack of pace. Lewis Hamilton was left questioning what could have been after a recovery drive to P8 in the Dutch Grand Prix, with the 7-time world champion suggesting that a top 5 result would have been possible had he had a better qualifying, while George Russell admitted his surprise at Mercedes' drop-off in pace. It was a tough Saturday for Hamilton in Zandvoort, the Briton having exited qualifying in Q2 before then receiving a 3-place grid penalty for impeding Sergio Perez in Q1. This dropped him down to a starting position of P15, which subsequently became P14 following Alex Albon's disqualification. The car really didn't feel as strong as the last race. We need to look into that. Whether our upgrade is delivering or not, we have to wait and see. Russell ended the race 1 position ahead of his teammate in 7th, leaving the British driver disappointed after starting from P4. I'm just surprised by the lack of pace. Really don't know where that disappeared to, he reflected later on. Friday was good. Saturday was reasonable and looked on course for sort of a comfortable 4th or 3rd prior to the race, and suddenly we just went backwards, and I don't really know what happened. Quizzed on how much the result had hurt following on from Mercedes' positive momentum of late, Russell responded, "Yeah, it really does. First off weekend for us since the upgrades, but I'm not too concerned if you take the last 7 races. We've been really strong in 6 of them. We've been ahead of Ferrari in all of them, and suddenly today they looked really competitive. We need to understand what happened as. Until today we looked on course for a pretty half-decent weekend. As I said, it all went away from us, and I don't know what happened." Max Verstappen refused to get drawn on questions over his alleged meeting with Toto Wolff. Wolff told Dutch media at Zandvoort that he held talks with the Verstappen camp over potentially signing the 3-time world champion. The Mercedes boss has been public in his pursuit of Verstappen following Lewis Hamilton's decision to leave the team for Ferrari in 2025. It does appear now that Verstappen will definitely stay with Red Bull, paving the way for Andrea Kimi Antonelli to make his F1 debut in Mercedes. Verstappen was asked about the meeting with Wolff in the post-qualifying FIA press conference at the Dutch Grand Prix. However, the Dutchman refused to acknowledge the meeting even took place. Which meeting? He told media, including Crash.net, when asked about Wolff's comments. He was then asked if he or his management engaged that meeting. He added, "I don't remember." Wolff's public praise of Verstappen has previously irked Red Bull boss Christian Horner. Horner accused Wolff of distraction tactics to disrupt Red Bull. A lot of noise has been made about him going elsewhere, and sometimes one just thinks that that's a distraction tactic that's just thrown in. The second story is Toto Wolff reveals why he ended Mercedes' Max Verstappen pursuit. Toto Wolff has revealed that a meeting with Max Verstappen's management over the summer break persuaded him to suspend his pursuit of signing the 3-time world champion on a contract for 2025. Lewis Hamilton is set to leave Mercedes next year, creating a vacancy alongside George Russell at the team that is expected to be filled by junior driver Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Earlier this season, Wolff made no secret of his desire to sign Verstappen for 2025, a prospect that always seemed unlikely, but one that gathered momentum amid infighting among Red Bull's senior management. Speaking to Dutch media ahead of this weekend's Dutch Grand Prix, Wolff revealed that meetings with Verstappen's father, Jos, and manager, Raymond Vermeulen, led to an agreement that a deal would not be possible for 2025. "I thought all through the year that there was a window or that there was a possibility it wasn't zero," Wolff was quoted by motorsport.com. What were the odds of that happening? Maybe they were 10-1, 9-1? Still, I didn't want to give up. But then we together came to the conclusion, over the summer, that we shouldn't be waiting for something to happen before committing for 2025. But let's just continue our job, Max at Red Bull and here at Mercedes, taking our own driver decisions. And that was a kind of joint thought. Wolff said a decision had already been made on Mercedes' driver lineup for 2025, but he left the door open to Verstappen joining from 2026 onwards. "What I like with Max, Raymond, and Jos is that we talk straight," Wolff added. "We don't need to push each other. We have been in this too long. We've taken the decision for drivers for next year. This is what our full effort is going into. Hopefully that's going to be the lineup for 2026 and beyond. But that doesn't close the door on Max being with us in 26 or beyond, because we want to still keep all the options open in the same way he does. So what I enjoyed in our conversations is there is never a hidden agenda." When Verstappen was asked after Saturday's qualifying session at Zandvoort whether he had been involved in the meeting between Wolff and his management, he said, "I don't remember." But Verstappen said he had no problem with Wolff speaking publicly about him. "No. I mean, everyone can say what they want. I get along very well with Toto. I think he's open about what's happening within the team." Mercedes set the pace on Friday at Zandvoort as George Russell pipped McLaren's Oscar Piastri by 0.061 seconds to top a closely fought second practice session. Hamilton finished third and quickest in both FP1 and FP2 and was only 0.111s off teammate Russell in Friday afternoon's dry running. Meanwhile, World Championship leader Max Verstappen was only fifth and admitted Red Bull were a bit too slow. "I felt okay today. It was not a bad start to the weekend," Hamilton said. Big difference compared to last year. The car is definitely feeling more alive and right up there at the front. We understand the car so much better now, so to start off on the right foot from the get-go and just making small tweaks from there is definitely very helpful. It makes our job more enjoyable. The seven-time world champion said he didn't really get the most out of his soft tire lap in FP2, adding, "There is still performance left. I've got to work a little bit on the setup. Otherwise, it's good." Asked if he feels Mercedes are in the mix for the win, Hamilton replied, "I don't know whether or not it's for the win, but we're definitely, at least we're in the top 5. The third story is Antonelli set for 2025 Mercedes F1 seat as Verstappen chase pauses. Mercedes Formula One boss Toto Wolff's concession that Max Verstappen will remain a Red Bull driver in 2025 all but guarantees Kimi Antonelli will be made George Russell's teammate. Since learning in February that Lewis Hamilton would leave Mercedes for Ferrari next season, Wolff has been considering who to sign in his place. The highly rated Antonelli, a Mercedes junior for several years, was immediately considered an option even though he was only 17 at the start of the year, had just won the Formula Regional European Championship, and was yet to make his Formula 2 debut. But Wolff also had designs on potentially luring Verstappen away from Red Bull as a series of problems engulfed the world champion team, and Verstappen's father, Jos, thought it was in Max's best interest to move. Ferrari driver Carlos Sainz was also in the picture too, given Hamilton was taking his place. But Sainz never seemed like a serious option, and was more of a backup in case Verstappen stayed put, and Antonelli's development was insufficient. In any case, Sainz has now committed to joining Williams in 2025. Wolff continued his pursuit of Verstappen for several months, despite the best efforts of Red Bull team principal Christian Horner to dismiss the prospect and insist there was no chance of Verstappen moving. Conversations did persist, and Wolff thought there was still a possibility until the summer break. Speaking to Dutch media at Zandvoort this week, Wolff has conceded that Verstappen will stay at Red Bull after all. Mercedes and the Verstappen party have accepted that there is no deal to be done for 2025, and Wolff will not wait any longer on him. He has not ruled out a move beyond 2025, which raises the question of whether Russell would eventually be dropped to make room, given Antonelli is such a long-term prospect, but insisted that the priority will be giving full support to whoever the drivers may be next year, rather than undermining them by lining up a replacement. That driver lineup now looks certain to be Russell and Antonelli, the latter of which is set to make his official Mercedes debut next weekend with an FP1 outing on home soil at the Italian Grand Prix. Antonelli has become a more legitimate choice in his own right, even though his age and experience level make him something of a wild card regardless. Antonelli's rookie F2 season has gained momentum despite his Prima team struggling to adapt to a new car, and the Italian is 7th in the standings, with a feature race victory and a sprint win to his name. More importantly to Mercedes, though, is how he has impressed in an extensive private testing schedule, initially in the 2021 car, but then exclusively in the 2022 machine. That program has taken Antonelli to multiple circuits: Red Bull Ring, Imola, Silverstone, and most recently Spa, and spanned more than 10 days.